Hey everyone, hope you're well. Rich here. I wanted to just give everyone an update on what's been going on over the last couple of months, 6 months or so, for all our games and just generally what's been happening with development and the studio. It's been a really tough year for us, as like everyone knows. 2024 has been an insanely hard year for a lot of developers, and thousands have gone. Not just many, just like so many people have lost their jobs this year. It's just been a nightmare year, really. And I first of all have to just apologise. There hasn't been any updates for ages. Totally understand why everyone's super annoyed at that. And the lack of communication has been just pretty bad. So I wanted to just take some time out to explain to everyone what's happened, because we've basically had to just dip out for ages and it's been a nightmare. Essentially, what happened is that if I rewind back about a year ago, we were actually in an okay place. What I have tried to do over the last like 5 to 10 years is try and basically make our studio have a diverse portfolio of games, so that we have multiple revenue streams and that they can all help each other out when they're in a bad situation. For the most part, that was fine and it worked very well, and it's kept us in the game for ages. So sometimes if one game isn't performing too well, and other ones can help pick it up. Seems like a decent solution, and it has been alright. Now, the main problem we've had over the last year, and the reason why we had to stop updating the games, is basically that we had a plan where we would do longer development cycles and drop bigger updates, as you know, for both Gunsmith and Junk Punk, which is the two main games I'm talking about today. We would basically put out huge updates and try and inject life into the games and grow them that way. That used to be okay, and I think that's changed over the last couple of years, where actually the update cycle and the velocity of updates needs to be more shorter, sharper bursts. We used to see that longer, larger updates would be more beneficial, but that I believe has changed. So why am I saying all of this? So we've had a bit of a post-mortem, and we just want to explain to you why there hasn't been any updates over the last 6 months. So basically what happened is that all of our games, for some reason, in the end of 2023 and going into 2024, had a decline in sales, and we don't know why. We try to update our games as frequently as possible with the small team that we have, and we try to basically support them all. And it just, for some reason, that didn't matter what we did, we just couldn't seem to get an increase in sales. And we don't know whether that was update velocity, or whether that was just generally the games are older, or that we're losing momentum, or there's more competition. We don't know if Steam has something to do with it. Maybe Steam does have something to do with it. There's nothing conclusive we can point to, apart from the fact that realistically we just kept seeing this decline in sales, which is concerning. Now, usually what would happen is, our business model would mean that we can support those updates continually, because our games would all be supporting each other. Ultimately, as a games company, it's super risky. It is super risky. So if we have a diverse portfolio, then we can sustain, even if one game doesn't perform well, right? That was the plan. All of a sudden, we found ourselves in a situation, I don't understand why, and we spent months trying to sort this out, where all games were not performing well, and we had a major problem on our hands because we were in the red. And as a game studio, game studios are always in the red. That's just like a natural thing, unless you're massive, I think. You're always burning money before you launch a game, unless you've got a highly successful game, you're always going to be in the red to some degree. And then you make your monies on sales, and you make your money launches, etc., etc. But we found ourselves with like multiple games that initially have done well, now no longer doing well. Big problem. But we know that both Junk Punk and Gunsmith, especially, have got audiences and they can come good. So we tried for months to obviously get those games to do better, and we couldn't cut through for whatever reason. So we tried to get some external help, and so what we did do was try and diversify the business again. And we thought, okay, what we'll do is whilst we wait for these games to pick up and we keep working on these games, let's get some work on the side as a studio, and we can get paid for that work. So that basically means we've got another alternative source of income, and the games weren't making nothing, they were still making money, just not quite enough to cover the cost of development. So that idea seemed sound. So we decided to go and do that, and we pitched for work so that we could have another alternative revenue stream coming into the business. So this is just me being completely upfront with everyone and honest with everyone, because I know everyone wants to know what the hell happened over the last year. And for the most part, that was going swimmingly. And problems were resolved. And then that all just fell apart. We got a contract from a major games company, and I can't say who it is, but they suffered a fairly hefty blow in 2024, and all of a sudden I just had a gigantic mess on my hands, because we had a external project that was giving us income, that we were helping make, which is fine. Loads of studios do that too. It's like loads of them, which is a very normal way to help bolster finances in studios. And then we had our other games that we were updating and we were about to push updates for, and now all of a sudden our other revenue stream had gone south. So this coincided with a massive contraction of the industry in general, to be honest with you. As everyone saw and everyone has seen over the last year, it's been brutal. It's just wipeout after wipeout, and it doesn't matter how big or small you are. It has been just nailing everyone. Some people have been able to weather it better than others, and I've been doing my best to weather that storm. It's been a really tough year. Really, really tough. And I have tried to work out how to tell everyone this, and just try and basically let people understand where we are as a studio. But it's been so hard to just go and sit down and say, okay, how do I tell everyone that I've made a massive mistake? We made a massive mistake. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a massive mistake. I mean, this is a tough game. You got to pick your battles, and unless you have games that you've worked on that have got like thousands of reviews, a lot of the time there's not enough money to finish them. However, our business model that we have made over the last 5 or 6 years means that we can still do that to some degree. But what we can't do is account for massive recessions in the industry, and or any changes that come on the Steam platform that can basically turn the tap off on sales or turn the tap on. So there are these events that are out of your control, basically. So what does this mean? Well, what it means is, up until about 4 months ago, we were in a real pickle. Maybe even up until about 8 weeks ago. Luckily for us, our obligations on that external project are now finished, and once again I can't say who it is or what we were doing. But that's just it at the moment. Maybe one day I can. I would like to at some point explain the full picture. But I think it's quite commonplace after looking at different methods of how to get finances into a business and how to run a studio. I would just say I think we have made it through 2024, which has been the hardest year for this industry for a long time, and it wasn't perfect, and it's been a bit of a nightmare. But once again, we have survived. Um, it sucks that we have not been able to update our games for the last 6, even 7 months, and anyone that's been following us over the years knows that we always try and update our games as much as possible. We're always there in the community, and it's just been super tough time, and it's been really hard for me to actually sit back and say, like, what am I gonna say to everyone? Because like, I'm also a hardcore gamer as well, and I love playing video games. I've been playing them all my life. I started off modding video games when I was younger, and that was the start of my career. And I also get pissed off when games get abandoned. So, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm doing the same thing as these people that annoy me. Like, what do I do, right? I will say that it's definitely given me an interesting look at, like, what's happened behind the curtain, and I can understand more why some games can't make it and some companies can't make it, and they just won't say what's going on. But I think as a business owner, and like as a game developer, and as someone that plays games a lot, it's been a very hard year, and I've had to make hard decisions, like really hard business decisions that I've never had to make before, and that in itself has been like really hard. And there's nothing else I can say. Like, it's just been a really, really tough year. Some part of me wants to just like say, like, obviously I'm really sorry to everyone, because I wanted to update the games, and I wanted us to be in a better position to be able to do that for 2024. And the plans and the moves I make basically on the little chessboard that we have as a business are always to try and make the business stronger, so that we can fulfill our obligations to you guys as players, and and as customers that pay for our games, right? And we never wanted to end up in this situation. It's just really, really hard running a games development studio, and we have been a profitable games development studio. Even on a smaller scale, we've been profitable, and I haven't wanted to laden the business with debt, because this is what a lot of companies do. Is they will just laden the studio with loads of debts. If I would have taken that option, I'm just telling you guys all the options that I had in front of me here, in order to just tell you guys what's been happening and give you the full truth. But I could have laden the company with tons of debt, but that would have wiped us out even faster, I think, in the long run. It would have been such a short-term play for a little gain, and that's kind of it. So, unfortunately, we faced a situation where we had a huge dump in all Steam sales. We had a lot of traffic not coming to the pages anymore. We had to try and find a way to readjust that. We were running out of cash, so we diversified the business to try and get more money in whilst we worked on our games. And then obviously we lent on that diversification to help us fund the studio, and then that blew out as well. So I had like just multiple blowouts all over the business, and like, what do you do in that situation, right? So we just had to basically graft super hard and finish our obligations on that project. But now that is to some degree done, and we have stabilized our position as a company. It's been a really, really tough year, and I had to do what I had to do in order to get us to survive. And all I can say is, like, I know there's been loads of you out there that have been super patient with us, and loads of you out there have been pissed off with the situation. I get that too. I get that, and I don't see any reason why. Don't see any reason why you wouldn't be. So, what's the plan going forward? Because that's a lot of stuff I've explained there. So the plan going forward, obviously we have Gunsmith and Junk Punk. What I've had to do over the last 4 months is basically redesign how we make games, because the way we were making them before wasn't working. The longer update cycles, although we thought they were good, obviously were not good. Everything seems to be changing, and one thing I've noticed as a developer is that I think you have to change your updates and development cycles and how everything goes in terms of your development of a product, and that kind of has to be in tandem with Steam and what Steam does and how Steam works, and also community and community sentiment and all of these things. It's a very deep topic, but essentially I would say we had evidence to suggest in the past that longer update cycles will be good, but I believe that's completely wrong now. And I think rather than pause and have longer update cycles, which means you lose momentum on the store and you lose momentum with your community, it now needs to be shorter, sharper bursts. So that's what we've been needing to do, and we now know that we need to basically break everything down into bite-sized chunks and push out updates that way. We also used to do a tandem development where we would have one update for one game, one update for another, and that worked for a while, but all the wheels fell off that train, basically. As all sales started to decline, it caused the paralysis of what game do we update now, because they're all in the red. So what a nightmare. Technically they're not all in the red. Like Gunsmith and Junk Punk are both in profit, but obviously there's a maintenance cost to keep working on those, right? And the minute we go and work on each game is a cost. And usually we would have a situation where they would yin and yang out of profit and, and debt, basically. So, but all games combined would come out as a profit, so that's fine, right? That all works. But it wasn't the case anymore. So it caused us a paralysis of what do we work on. Now, basically, what we need to do is finish these two games. However, we're going to change how we do that development cycle, and we're going to change what we do. We are just going to go and finish Gunsmith first, instead of doing update here, update here, update here. Like, rather than each game individually, we're just going to finish a game. And the reason why I choose Gunsmith is because it's our biggest game, and it is the closest to 1.0. We didn't do the 1.0 because players were saying please just do more things before 1.0, but we're going to go and just do a big update for 1.0. There was already an update in the works. We already had a lot done before this situation unfolded, so we're just going to finish that game. I'm not going to give any dates or deadlines or anything like that now, because we have got quite a decent amount of work to do there, and it's going to be in 2025, and I'm hoping quarter 1, quarter 2, 2025 would be nice. But I'm not going to put any dates on it because I don't want to promise anything and under-deliver. I want us to go and really get that game into good shape, and then when we know we've got a 100% date, then we'll say. After that leaves us only one game to finish, and that's Junk Punk. So that makes it easier for us, because that means the major development cycles on those games are done. And Gunsmith and Junk Punk will always still receive updates in the future. Just depends on their frequency and what they want added, really. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do, and we have finally survived 2024. Our income is, I wouldn't say secured, but a lot better. And we are now back in a position where we can work on these games in the near future, but it's just about managing our time and development and how we do that. So yeah, I'm sorry about the last 6 or 7 months. It's been a nightmare. It's not just been a case where we've disappeared. I've just found it very hard to communicate with you guys how tough it's been, and it's just really hard as like a developer to be going through a super stressful time and then go, oh, let's go and put this on the internet, and let's go and tell everyone how like hard it is right now and how stressful it is right now, and let's just go and do this. Like, you just want to say nice things, right? You just want to go and talk to your community about what's happening and what's good. But this has been the first like major test of the studio in terms of how close it's been to the wire. Like, we've had situations before where it's been pretty tight, but we've managed to be okay. But 2024 has been like, holy moly, really close. We were like probably, I don't know, very close to not being able to continue, like perma. But we have survived. So onwards and upwards to 2025, and yeah, Gunsmith will be the game that gets the next update. and once we finish Gunsmith, we'll move on to Junk Punk. It will take longer than we initially hoped, and it sucks. But we will get there, I promise. And again, I just thank everyone for their patience. I understand it's been a long road, man, and it's been a lot of ups and downs, and I know a lot of you have been here for years and you've been supporting us for ages, and I really appreciate that, and it's been super awesome to have you guys on the journey. So yeah, I thank you for your continued support. And I guess, yeah, have a good new year, and I'll give you an update in early 2025 on what's happening with both games, and how we're going to go forward updating them, and what the next updates will be for both of them. And hopefully in 2025 we can get some dates in the diary for when those updates are going to happen. But I'm not going to say any dates now, because I think we need to just actually do something, and we need to get something in the works, and we need to get something tangible to put out there, rather than just continually talking about everything. And I can understand why people now, when I say, oh, we're going to do this date for this date or whatever, it's a bit lacking in confidence. Totally understand that. But yeah, apart from that, thanks everyone for their patience and support over the last couple of months, 6-7 months or whatever. It has been insanely tough, and I'm sure loads of people on the internet will give me tons of solutions or whatever that they think are the right thing, but it's super hard, and there's no right call, especially when it comes to finances and people's wages and jobs or whatever, and you just don't want to get rid of anyone. You don't want to make any don't want to have any job losses. Here's the thing, although it sucked over the last year, and we've been off the radar for the last 6 months, I managed to retain everyone without a single job loss. And over, if you would have told me that we would have been able to weather this storm and go through the absolute apocalypse that's happened in 2024 with no job losses, and actually have a viable future going into 2025, I don't know if I would have believed that, because it's been so tough. So we have actually managed to come out of this relatively unscathed. Yeah. So I think it's the best thing I could have done in order for us to survive, really. And now, hopefully, we go forward into 2025 and we can get the whole system up and running in a better way. I still truly believe that having a diverse games portfolio is the best way to go. We can't hedge all our bets on one game smashing it for us. If we do, great. But until that happens, it has to be a situation where we've got lots of games. But yeah, thank you everyone for your time and patience. Have a good new year, I guess, and I'll see you guys in 2025. Thank you very much.